Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this evening we'll have the latest from the short range models at the possibility of seeing a lot of rain over the next few days, as it does look like we could be seeing some repeat deluges for some areas. We did see in yesterday's video that there's going to be a squall line potentially Sunday night into Monday, and beyond that it does look like there's going to be repeat deluges over the next 3 or 4 days as autumn really does arrive. Now we'll also be having a look at the GFS and the GFS Ensembles, as there are hints we could be seeing something a little bit drier into October. But for the meantime, it does look like it's going to be especially unsettled in the north and west, with all areas pretty unsettled and cooler. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and do remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So if we do go through the latest on the icon run, having a look at precipitation, you see there's a few showers in the west at the moment, really nothing too much. Again, icon does overdo showers a little bit. However, you can see the approaching weather front, and by sort of midday into the early afternoon of Sunday, you can see it's made its way across Ireland, Northern Ireland, and is starting to impact parts of Wales, southwest England, and western Scotland. As it moves in, you can see we have some very intense rain along it. This is a cold front, and this is where we could be seeing that squall line feature develop. You can see it really peps up down in the Wales and the southwest as that squall line moves through. Could be impacting even areas in the Midlands, East Anglia, North East England, down into the London area for rush hour Monday. We could be seeing some very strong winds and some very, very heavy rain within that squall line moving through. Now, in yesterday's video, we did see that this was moving through a lot quicker than it is showing now. So it does look like it's been delayed by a couple hours on the latest icon run, and that's very interesting to see. And that could mean there's more impacts on Monday morning. Beyond that, you can see a day of a little bit quieter through sort of Monday afternoon to evening. Then through Tuesday, it's all right until another weather front arrives by around midday in the west and progresses eastwards overnight, over the course of the evening of Tuesday and overnight. Again, Wednesday's a reasonable day before we do see another westerly blast of weather fronts moving through, bringing some very heavy rain and again strong winds. So we're going to be seeing this cycle of very unsettled, wet and windy conditions for 12, 24 hours. Then we're going to get maybe 12, 24 hours off, and then we're going to get it coming back again. And that cycle is going to continue as we have this westerly pattern, typical jet stream sort of pattern in the autumn. And it's going to be pretty miserable out there under the rain. Now, if we have a look at the wind speeds, now these are the gusts. We could be seeing 34, 40 mile an hour gusts as that weather front does move through. You can see even across the south coast, potentially 50 or 60 mile per hour gusts. And even inland, maybe 40, maybe getting up towards 50 mile an hour gusts along that squall line. Beyond that, winds die down a little bit, but then as soon as another weather front approaches, pick up again to around 30 or 40 miles per hour, and then again for that potential weather front through sort of Wednesday into Thursday could be some very strong winds, especially in Scotland, maybe 60 or 70 miles per hour, and then for many areas maybe between 40, 50, or maybe even getting up towards 60 mile an hour, which is pretty strong. If we do have a look at the precipitation accumulations, we go all the way to 120 hours. You can see most areas are going to be seeing at least an inch of rain. Some areas could be seeing even more than that. And where we have a sort of squall line feature moving through, it's not always well picked up by the models in terms of accumulations, because it is convection based, of course, and the models do struggle with accumulation amounts from convection, of course, because things can have massive contrast, only a few miles difference. So because some areas may be only showing an inch here, but could see 2 inches if that squall line feature and sort of the convection does pick up a little bit more. So it does give us a broad thing. Definitely in the west, we could be seeing at least 1 to 3 inches over the next 4 or 5 days, which isn't a massive amount of rain, but it is a lot of rain for only a few days, and could cause some issues in a few spots. And with it falling in pretty much all areas, a lot of rain, that's where we could start to see potentially river levels sort of climb. But stay tuned to sort of Met Office and Environmental Agency warnings, and I don't think they haven't issued any yet, and we have had dry weather recently, so I don't suspect there'll be too many issues from this, but this is going to be starting off our sort of wet season, autumn into winter, with a lot of rain coming in for the end of September. So if we do have a look at the ARPEGE, that does compare to the icon run. You can see today's been reasonably dry. In the west, a few pesky showers, and then you see the weather front gathering strength through Sunday evening, spreading through that squall line early hours of Monday for western areas, and then for eastern areas spreading through around late morning into lunchtime, and then a bit of a drier day through Monday afternoon before more weather fronts start to spread in from the southwest. If we also have a look at the wind gusts, you can see when the squall feature moves through, we could be seeing 30, 40, maybe 50 mile an hour gusts, especially along the squall line. You can see it does pick up a little bit, even in the southeast, maybe 50 or 60 mile per hour gusts, and even inland, maybe 40 or 50. So you could be seeing some disruption from the wind speeds as well. Not sort of a storm by any means, as it only lasts a few hours, and probably the stronger gusts will be primarily within the squall feature, but still could cause some disruption. And beyond that, we do see winds die down a little bit, but you can see it does look like more strong winds will be moving in from the west. We do see weather fronts moving in throughout the week. Now, if we do have a look at the UKMS office run, we'll have a look at the precipitation, and then we'll have a look at wind speeds and temperature. You can see reasonable day today, a few showers here or there, and then you see that squall feature come through. You can see the UKMS office run has got a defined squall feature there. You can just see on the front of this cold front, you can see there's a line of yellow moving through, which is that squall feature, and you can see as it moves eastwards, you can see it really well defined there, even red's mixing in, which is very high rainfall rates moving through. And you can see it is a very narrow band of rain, but will be very intense within that. However, that does eventually move through, and we do start to see showers come in from the west, but it doesn't look anything too severe for sort of Monday into Tuesday. Maybe a few odd heavier showers here, but then through Tuesday afternoon, more heavy rain spreads in, and just looks like repeated bands of heavy, significant rain sweeping in from the west. Very, very unsettled. And if we do have a look at the wind gusts, you can see as we head through to Sunday afternoon, you can see strong winds, 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts, and even in the east for that squall feature moving through, potentially still 40, 50 mile an hour. But you can see that very big drop off, which is typical for a squall feature, going from 30, 40 mile an hour gusts to only 10 or 15 mile per hour gusts in space only a few miles. Beyond that, we do see just generally decent gusts here or there. But then, as soon as we see some more heavier rain pushing in from the west, that's what we could see again, 50, 60 mile per hour gusts. So the winds aren't the main issue here, but I do want to highlight it as it could cause some disruption in a few spots. Now, if we do finally have a look at temperatures, temperatures have been reasonable today. We've seen temperatures get up to around 22, 23 degrees. Really quite warm, especially for the end of September. So I hope you have gone out and enjoyed it. Through Sunday, you can see temperatures still maybe 21, 22 degrees in the far east. However, you can see that stark contrast as that cold front moving through. You can see in central Ireland only 11, 12 degrees at 4 p.m. However, you go into Wales, Midlands, 21, 22 degrees, potentially 10 degrees warmer either side of this, from the warmer side to the colder side of this cold front moving through. And that cold front does sweep through. And you can see by 9 a.m. on Monday, maybe 18 degrees in the far east of East Anglia, and only 10, 11 degrees further west. And eventually that cold air does sweep through for all, and Tuesday morning could be pretty chilly, maybe single digits for most. Mid-single digit, maybe 7, 8, 9 degrees, maybe getting a little bit higher in a few spots where we have some lingering cloud, and generally highs in the day struggling around 15, 16 degrees, as it does look like autumn will really arrive with this polar maritime air mass. However, you can see towards Thursday morning, you can see some warmer air down in the southwest, but that is only a warmer sector ahead of the approaching low. So don't get too excited about that. It is just a warmer sector that will only last probably 12 hours or so before the cold front does sweep through, unfortunately. So if we do have a look at the GFS, see how that does compare in the longer term. Now, I did say at the start of the video, we are seeing hints potentially of higher pressure, sort of day 10 to day 14. Now, it is hints, not guaranteed, but it's something we should have a look at and see what happens. You can see over the coming days, you just see that mother low out in the Atlantic towards Iceland, just throwing weather fronts and daughter lows through the country. And then you head towards next weekend, still really quite stormy, and we could be seeing this really vigorous low pressure system spin up next weekend. Now, again, this is mainly on the GFS, and we're not looking at any of the other models today, and I do suspect this would be very different on the other models, but again, this could be an AIM storm potentially if we did see this come off. Very vigorous low pressure system spinning up on the latest GFS. Very interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on what happens with that. Beyond that, that low pressure does eventually move out to the north, and we do start to build in some higher pressure. Now, there's a bit of a cut-off low towards Spain, could throw a few showers here or there, but generally, we're under high pressure, an extension of the Azores high pushing up, and the Scandinavian high blocking out the Atlantic. It does mean for many areas it will be going a little bit drier. Now, the upper air temperatures aren't anything really too warm, but it still could give temperatures into the mid to high teens, if not getting maybe towards 20, 21 degrees here or there. But as ever, when we're getting into October, the sun strength is diminishing. We're losing more and more daylight hours, so it's very, very difficult to get any decent temperatures without really hot upper air temperatures. Very difficult to get those sort of mid-20 degree days, even with only 5 or 10 degrees HPA, which is possible in July or August, but not possible in autumn as that sun strength does diminish. So even though it doesn't look too bad, it will still probably be not particularly warm with temperatures in the mid-teens. But you may like that. You may enjoy temperatures in the mid to high teens. So if you do like that, then it is looking encouraging in the longer term. However, it's not guaranteed at this stage, and we'll have to keep having a look at it over the next few days. If we finally have a look at the GFS Ensembles, you can see this well reflected, warm upper air temperatures over the next day or two, and then we see that really big drop as that cold front moves through, and temperatures are going to be below average for about 3 or 4 days, quite far below average, maybe 3, 4, 5 degrees below average at times, with a lot of precipitation spikes. Remember, this is in the east, down in London and southeast, where the weather fronts will be weakening, and we won't be seeing as many convective showers in off the Irish Sea or the Atlantic, so it will be a lot more rain in the west. So do keep in mind for that. In the longer term, temperatures are around average, but there is a lot of uncertainty. Some going quite warm, getting up to 15 degrees HPA, which would give temperatures into the low to mid 20s potentially. Others going down to around freezing at 850 HPA, which would be pretty chilly. You can see the longer term there is diminishing precipitation spikes, so there's a signal for higher pressure, but it isn't guaranteed. As I said, there are still a lot of precipitation spikes there. It's just diminishing. And if we do have a look at the mean sea level pressure, you can see a bit up and down over the next sort of week or so, which is very typical for a zonal Atlantic pattern. And then as we head towards the end, there's a hint it could return to higher pressure, but there are still some very low pressure options in there, and we'll have to keep an eye on what happens with that. If we do have a look at Glasgow, see how that does compare to give us an idea of what we could be seeing further northwards. Again, up and down with the pressure pattern, but generally lower pressure is dominant, and again in the longer term potentially high pressure, very similar to what we're seeing in the south. We've got these big low pressure systems. You can see a lot of precipitation spikes for Glasgow, and temperatures generally much below average for a good week or so as that cold front does, or after that cold front does move through, and a lot of rain could be falling over that week. And for the foreseeable future, it does look like there's going to be a lot of rainfall spikes, temperatures around average, maybe above or below at times, and again it'll all depend on what the ensembles sort of converge on nearer the time. So it does look like we're going to be seeing some really autumnal patterns coming along. It does look like it's going to be very cool, potentially windy, and a lot of heavy rain at times. And as we saw by that GFS operational run, we could even be seeing some named storms coming along as well, if we do see one of these low pressure systems really do spin up. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.